We all follow the temperature and rainfall news daily because we need it for daily planning and understanding the air conditions. This is our first step in understanding the weather conditions. For water, temperature and salinity are usually the first steps in understanding the water properties. These parameters are important as other like density are extracted from temperature and salinity. What is the salinity and temperature of the Caspian water at the surface and at different depths compared to the waters of other oceans and seas? Warmer or colder? Salter or fresher? We know that when we describe a parameter, we use a unit for them. For example, meter for length and second for time. Here we need some units for temperature and salinity. Temperature can be described as Celsius, which would be familiar to us. The salinity of seawater is usually expressed as the grams of salt per kilogram of seawater. But, for salinity, we usually use PSU instead of gram per kilogram. What is PSU? PSU unit comes from the Practical Salinity Unit. PSU is equivalent to 0.001 gram per kilogram. To have a sense of PSU, we review the salinity of some waters. The average salinity of the world's oceans is 35.5 PSU, varying from less than 15 PSU in estuaries to more than 40 PSU in the Dead Sea. The salinity of fresh water is almost 0 PSU. When we mention the salinity is 35 PSU, it means that in each 1 kilogram of water, 35 gram is salt, or 3.5% of the seawater is composed of salinity. For a better understanding of the Caspian Sea water properties, we divided our discussion into parts: surface water and depth water. Let's start with surface water. The surface temperature in the southern part varies from 13 degrees in winter to 25 to 30 in the summer. In the middle part, while in the winter the temperature can be 6 degrees, in the summer the temperature can reach 25 Celsius. However, the greatest temperature variability is in the northern part, where the temperature reaches 0 degrees in the winter to 24 degrees in the summer. On the one hand, it is interesting that the Caspian surface water freezes in cold weather, and the thickness of this ice is usually less than half a meter. On the other hand, surprisingly, we have days in the Ghara Baghaz Gulf when the temperature reaches 40 degrees Celsius in summer. On average, the surface salinity of the Caspian Sea is about 12.8 PSU. The lowest amount of salt accumulation is related to the waters of the North Caspian Sea, which can be between 5 to 10 PSU, although very close to the river, it can be 2 to 4 PSU. While the mean salinity of the Middle Caspian Sea can be 12.7 PSU, the average for the southern basin is 13 to 14 PSU. Again, unusually, the highest accumulation and concentration of salt in the Caspian Sea is related to Ghara Baghaz Gulf. The salinity of the water in this gulf sometimes reaches 300 to 350 PSU and even more. The main reason for this extreme heat and high salinity should be found in low rainfall and high evaporation. The surface evaporation of salt in this gulf is 1,500 mm per year. The amount of rainfall in this area does not exceed 70 mm per year. Therefore, we can divide the Caspian Sea into 3 salinity zones. 1. Low salt, northern basin. 2. Semi-salty, middle basins. 3. Very salty, southern basins. Now vertical structure. The biggest changes in the Caspian vertical occur in the first 200 meters from the surface, and after that, the temperature is almost constant, or at least its changes are few. The air-water interaction transmits light and heat to the water. Therefore, we can accept it as a principle for all waters. Most temperature changes occur at 200 to 400 meters from the surface. On a summer day in the Caspian, when the surface temperature is around 25 degrees Celsius, the temperature reaches 20 degrees Celsius at a depth of 50 meters. Up to a depth of 50 meters, the temperature reaches 10 degrees, and up to a depth of 100 meters, the temperature reaches 8 degrees Celsius. And after that, the temperature changes are very low, and at depths greater than 400 meters, the temperature is around 5 to 6 Celsius in all seasons. But salinity, the vertical changes are very small, and the salinity changes by about 1 unit from the surface to the depth. For example, when the salinity is at the surface, 12 psu, it reaches 12.6 up to a depth of 50 meters, and up to 200 meters, it reaches 12.8, and after that, at a depth of 400 meters, the salinity is approximately 13 units. Here we can almost accept that the more we go from the water surface to the water bottom, the salinity increases for most waters. Now, if we compare the structure of the Caspian Sea with the waters of the Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea, we will understand that the Caspian Sea is colder, but the salinity of the Caspian Sea is about third one of the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. We all have a good experience of sitting on classroom chairs since childhood. Always, whoever is smaller in height is in the front seats, and whoever is taller is in the back seats. So, our height was the criterion we were classified in the class. Here, the Caspian layers are arranged from top to bottom. The density of the Caspian waters arranges the layers from lower densities to higher densities. Caspian water has a density between 1005 and 1010 kg per cubic meter. Now, if we consider the density of the ocean to be 1030 kg per cubic meter, would it be easier to drown in the Caspian water or in the ocean? What do you think? Indeed, the Caspian Sea has special characteristics. From low salinity to very high salinity. From hot water to frozen water in winter. This amazing story continues.